Hello everyone, welcome back to day 25. So the reason I'm saying it like as if it's something very important, because it actually is very important. We have 5 days left in the challenge. If you count today, that would be 6. So 3 days ago, I mentioned that we will be gaining 8 points, oh actually 6 points every day. And supposedly today we are to reach 2470, for the simple reason that there are 5 days left. Now, before we actually start, let me first show you a game. Well, the story is yesterday, I lost a game. That got us back to 2455, so we've got a long way to go today. Ideally, let's see if we can reach 2270 in 3 games. But before we start, I would like to show you a very interesting game. And you notice that at this level, 2300, 2400 level, sometimes the games are actually short because the games are extremely clean, and once you let in on something, your opponent might just kill you from there. So let me show you how I kind of killed my opponent on the spot. Okay, so here is the opening, and this is the ideal setup against the London opening. This is basically just putting my pawns back and just keeping position, controlling these crucial squares, and not allowing him to make progress. Now, he played a4. This demonstrates great opening preparation. However, the move here we play is a6. Rather, we do not play a5 because of potential, not right now, of course, potential future ideas of playing this, and of course, a weak square over here. Now, a6, if a5, we can play b5. Of course, he didn't play a5, then bishop e2, knight b7, short castles, queen e8, the idea of which is to play e5. And as we all know, in the King's Indian, generally we play c5 or e5. Both plans work, and it depends on what kind of position it is. Now, after bishop h2, we play e5, d takes e5, d takes e5. Now, in this position, we are already very happy from the opening, because after knight c4, we play knight e4, centralizing our knight, opening our bishop, and utilizing my pieces. Now, next, after knight f d2, we take queen d2, and here we went for knight e7. Of course, knight c5 would be better, targeting the square, but queen c2 stops that, so I didn't play it immediately. Rather, my idea was to play queen e7, rook f d8, and now we can quickly bring our rooks over, one of them, and since our knight is being attacked, that gives us time to play knight c5. After b4, he simply ignores the threat. Of course, in this position, something like this would make much more sense, even though in this situation there's bishop e4. Queen e1, however, solves the issue, and if I jump in immediately, rook a3 actually solves his problems. So it's not all that simple, but after b4, it turns out to be much easier. In a few moves, we are having decent control over here. And there is a case of prophylaxis shown. The idea of my opponent is to reroute his knight over here, and this will be actually slightly difficult for me to play against. However, we have our own way to deal with it, which is c5. He played rook over to defend. We didn't take it. We first utilize this rook, and when he moves out of the way, we pin him again. And when he moves out of the way again, we threaten to pin him yet again. Now, unfortunately, he played c4, blundered bishop c3, and straight up resigned, because something like rook d1 runs into c takes b4, and if takes, we take, and if this, we can simply push a pawn, and there's nobody to stop him. Because after this, we can now take, and if takes, of course, rook c1 just straight up leads to a win. So the rest of the position would be pretty easy to deal with. And why I showed you is that this shows clean conversion and also an important opening idea for you guys. I know many of you play the King's Indian. It is a very popular opening, so I decided to show you guys the line that actually Fabiano Caruana himself plays. Now, of course, let us dive into the 5+0 chess. So, off we go, French defense. Luckily, we are paired with a 24-10 rated player, and this is going to get us some extra rating if we win. Now, this is the advanced variation, and let's see which line he's going to go for. So, bishop e2, again, I need to recall the lines. I can't remember clearly, there's way too many lines, but I think this should be the move. Short castles, I think here's knight g6. Now we're targeting this pawn from that, and up next we will be having queen c7 ideas to put further pressure. And of course also bishop e7. Sooner or later we might need to play f6. For some reason this position doesn't look all that familiar to me, which is a slight surprise. And I am anticipating queen d2. Oh, he actually played b3. That's a surprise. I think generally after b3, the move here would be this. Indeed, he took with that. But now these squares are weak. We have dominant control over the c file, and I think we should have the edge right now. Well, our opponent is definitely taking a long time, but after all, he is giving me the bishop pair. So should I take actually? Let's take, and then we play f6. The classic King's Indian plan. if actually dares to take, we might be playing this, and king f7 and rook over is again another classic plan. Oh, I think I just said king's Indian. I mean, I meant French defense plan. So here, if it doesn't take, we can just take back, trade a bit. We can't push yet, so we might take queen b5 over. If we don't take with the knight, rather with the pawn, I think queen b4 still makes a lot of sense. And whenever something like this happens, when I trade off the f7 pawn, we can castle right now. And of course, the idea of this move is supporting this. Also, of course, attacking this pawn. Now, if a3, I think queen b5 would make sense. Queen b4. Oh, queen g4. What am I saying? Okay, so if that, honestly, this should be the only move here. And we take back. Now we have the... Oh, nope. Now we have the 2 bishops versus 2 knights situation. And according to Steinitz rule, which is a rule for taking advantage of the 2 bishops, is that we should limit his squares with pawns, ideally, of course. But this does not seem all that simple yet, although I really don't understand this. But let's try to implement the Steinitz rule. Let's try to find a way. Knight g3. Now, here I will go for h5, because this is one of those moves that fits the rule. It is trying to take away space from his knights. Now, he decided to trade. Let's just trade, and then we can push. So we're taking away space from this knight. And let's also take space away from this knight. Oh, but we blundered knight f6. However, he didn't play it, so let's try to avoid it. You know, this is still forcing a trade. Not exactly ideal. But sooner or later, we have the opportunity to play this. And now after takes, we can, of course, roam in. However, he played rook c1. Do we take, retreat, or rook over? Let's retreat. This rook might belong elsewhere. Oh, and he actually decided to take. And now let's continue with our plan. That is what I mentioned. We are, first of all, taking away space from him. And second of all, the entire idea of rook f8 is to play rook f4 in the future. Now, I don't think there's any tactics, so we probably can take. Oh, and he just resigned. Actually, I think when this happened, he is already slightly worse, and in the future, when we actually traded off the queens, let's not say we've got the bishop pair, very powerful. We've also got this weak pawn to attack, and of course, potentially to strike f2, so we should be overall better. And in the end, we successfully got our rook in, and that wins us the game. 2, 4, 6, 3. Let's play another game. And if we can win, we can just call it a day. If we can't, well, we might need to play on, and that might end up making this video a long one. Hopefully not. Let's see if we can keep up the winning streak. Oh, guys, do you remember this guy? I showed you in a video where I titled I beat an FMs or something. So he's just kind of the first ever title player I have ever beaten. And for some reason, the position is already a mess. Why haven't I ever seen this line before? That's just insane. In theory, this should not be too much of a problem. And yeah, considering the fact that we've beaten him once, we should try to beat him again. But also considering the fact that he is rated so high, I am not very confident. So let's keep on with our moves. f6. We will be playing this next. d6, bishop d2. I'm not really scared of hanging this pawn because here. And even though we have got this, we can take. Go here. And here. And here. And here. So we're down a pawn, but we've got the bishop's pair, and we're a lot better developed, and our pawn structure is also better. So overall, I would say that we should be slightly better. Let's first castle. He played bishop d7. Let's bring both rooks into the center. And this looks decent. Looks decent enough. Now this is really screaming to be played. First of all, he can't take. We're targeting this square, and we're also opening the bishop. Makes a whole lot of sense. Let's play it. I really don't understand what he's doing. Let's first execute the plan. Now he's just literally not developed, and he's just trying to play from this point. I just don't understand, honestly. So let's also utilize this bishop. Now we can push d7 soon. perhaps. Okay, rook d8. And I think we can try to like break open the position with f4. Of course, he might play this. We can trade, and this pawn would end up being extremely weak. Let's give a check, why not? We can destroy his pawn structure further, and now we can play this, and prepare rook d6. King f7, isn't this simply over? I mean, why did he play so poorly this game? I'm very surprised, actually. That is not what I'm expecting from him. Okay, so I guess that's just a quick win. I mean, what is there further to be played? Come on, time to resign. So he went for knight e7. That doesn't make sense at all. We just take. Full rook up. Why don't he resign? King over. We can protect. And he finally resigned. Okay, that gives me another 4 points. So it's been like 3 games today, kind of. So let's call it an end right here. I will be playing more chess tomorrow. It's weekend, so I can play more chess. And tomorrow we'll be trying to reach, let me calculate, 2476. That's a huge rating. We've got 9 rating points to go. So let's see if we can reach 2500 in 30 days at this final stage of the challenge. Do not miss out. See you tomorrow.